Good evening. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Supervisor Fountain?
Here.
Treasurer Horning? Absent. Clerk Chofiu? Here. Trustee Colliane? Absent. Trustee Germain?
Here.
Trustee Harper?
Here.
Trustee Petrucci?
Here.
Thank you. Number 4 is approval of our meeting agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Trustee Harper, second by Trustee Germain. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. There's nobody here for the call to the public this evening. We'll move on to item number 6, which is approval of our consent agenda.
Move. Support.
Had a motion by Trustee Petrucci and a second by Trustee Harper.
I'd like to add one item to the consent agenda. That is to approve the rainout date of October 25th, 2019 for the Heartland High School fireworks that were approved on August 20th, 2019. They have been rained out twice, and they're scheduled for the next home football game.
Move. Support.
Still support that? Any other discussion?
Just for clarification again, what's the proposed date, Larry?
Pardon?
When is the date for the high school fireworks?
The October 25th.
25th.
If there's nothing else, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now, pending in new business, we have a topic this evening, M59 East Water System Design Engineering. Mr.
Thank you. Good evening. What you have before you is a recommendation from Township staff and the Public Works Department to move forward with the design proposal from HRC to basically get us to the permitting process of extending out the water main to the M59 East corridor, or Fenton Road, the Pleasant Valley Road area. Obviously, we have some potential developments in the works out in that area, all of which have requested and desire to be connected to the Heartland's municipal water system. While we still work through the negotiations of how the connection fees and the payment for the construction will be handled, in an effort to kind of show good faith to these developers as well as avoid any delays, we're recommending to move forward with the design process. Regardless if these developers come to fruition or not, the water will eventually come to that area. The density that's requested and desirable in that area will require connection to the municipal water system. So I believe there's minimal risk whatsoever to move forward with the design. And again, the design could potentially take in the neighborhood of anywhere from 4 to 6 months, and then the permitting process through Eagle could be similarly probably in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 months. So again, what we're trying to do is avoid any further delays, and we still have some details to be worked out as far as the actual construction, but this will show good faith to the developers. Be more than happy to answer any questions. That was kind of the brief version of it, but
Matt, do you have any questions?
Have we received estimates yet for the cost of the pre-design work?
we have the proposal here in your packet from HRC, and as part of this, their proposal was $171,000, and that was essentially to get us about 85%, because that's up to the permitting process. If we were to be permitted, obviously there would be some additional costs to develop the bid specs, put the project out on the streets to actually solicit for quotations for the actual work. However, this is to get us actually permitted through the state of Michigan.
And since these, like 59 is a major road, this does not include any construction or oversight or estimates for the installation at this point, right?
That does not. Public Works has developed some conceptual costs based on basically industry standards and industry current costs, which has been presented as well. But again, this is just strictly the design. There's no construction as part of this.
The other question I have is, we've talked in the past about looping it on both the north and the south sides of 59. What is the direction that Eagle might be giving us at this point about that?
So the actual proposal that we'll submit to Eagle will include a full loop. Eventually, on the tail end of this project, if you will, once additional connection fees are paid as development starts, it will eventually fund the north side return connection, if you will. So we will end up with a loop system. Our master plan is to have a water main both on the north side and the south side of M59. It'll just be, I should say, it'll be a phased project. We'll start with one leg to get the development started. As they start developing, there will come, we'll call them milestones, which will trigger further action, upgrades at the plant, a new well, and then eventually the tail milestone will be to loop the system all the way down 59 on the north side.
I understand the construction sequence that you're describing. I'm just trying to clarify if their bid is design work for both legs, if you will, or both north and south side at this time.
Yes, okay, I apologize for that
That's all right.
confusion. This particular design is strictly for the south side of M59. Being that we don't have a schedule, if you will, for when that north side would come, there may be some changes along the way. If potentially this project takes 5 years to come to fruition or hit that milestone where we'll develop the water main on the north side, the topography could change or could be additional developments. HRC's recommendation was if you're not going to put that water main in within 2 to 3 years, hold off because we may have to redo it anyway.
So does this expansion, I guess, does it end at, it ends at the golf course?
Essentially, what we'll be doing is getting it to the golf course parcel, and then they will be required to bring it through to Mayberry. At this point in time, they seem to be about neck and neck as far as schedule with them. In the grand scheme of things, they'll probably come to fruition about the same time. But yes, the developers will be required to bring it to their property line and then eventually through to the neighboring parcels. And then within their parcels, they also have requirements that they'll have to meet to our design and engineering standards as far as looping and providing us with extra extensions, not just a single extension at the east property lines. They'll have to have multiple points of connection for future development.
So I'm looking at your, well, that's page 58 on your,
Yes.
in your packet. And then like 2 pages past that, it's got a yellow. I guess I'm just trying to understand what the different colors mean. Is blue existing?
Blue is existing in, if you're looking on page 60, the green was essentially a 16, or 2 12-inch water mains feeding into a yellow, which indicates the 16-inch water main. Dating back to our 2010 water master plan, the original intent was to have a 16-inch water main along M59. What we envision for fire flows and future needs is to start off with the 16. The supplemental coming back on the north side would be a 12-inch.
Got it. And then, so the highlighted ones in blue, which is on page 58, that where it says the 16-inch proposed water main, that will all be done by the people that own Mayberry? They would have to run that 16 all the way to the Pleasant Valley Road, then run a 12 underneath?
The construction costs will be borne on the developers. Now, that may be through connection costs. We will probably help facilitate that construction process. We'll certainly be plugged in. However, that's still part of the negotiation with the developers at this time.
So does the engineering go all the way to Pleasant Valley then?
It does, actually.
Okay.
The topography
That was
and what they're doing.
That's where I was trying to get to.
Yes, the engineering does, because there's a potential with these developers to, for the sake of argument, we may actually facilitate the construction all the way there. It will at a minimum go to the golf course. For the time being, the design will have all the way along the south boundary and then the proposed jack and bore under
Got
M59.
So then like what you just said, the 12-inch would be on the north side of the road all the way back to where it's currently
Yes.
12.
When we go, the final stage of the project or final milestone would
Okay.
be to loop it back and tie in with the 12-inch main, just to be a supplemental.
Questions?
I have a question. I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works, but weren't we talking about bringing sewer down there as well? Possibly?
Sewer's there, but where are you talking about?
Down, all the way down to Fenton Road?
Oh, the sewer ends at the other side of the church driveway there, on the north side. If it would have to, when the developer is finished, they would need to have it to the other end.
The sewer's already available down.
Sewer is there.
'Cause I was going to ask, I don't know if it's less expensive to do engineering on both at the same time or not, but I don't think we have any more sewer than we have to do it in, right?
No, there may be Heartland Glen's connection. They're looking at options there, and in the grand negotiation, there may be some exchange of cost sharing with it, but we don't necessarily have to engineer
But
it right now.
one doesn't affect the other as far as cost?
No, this is maybe the more time-sensitive element of it. I wanted to add that, the not wanting to delay it. It isn't, just because we're in a complex negotiation isn't necessarily the fault of any one of the developers or some of them. And so we didn't want to be the cause for delay of when they would want that water. Now is the time to get the engineering done, to get the permit ready so that we can bid and be ready with water when they need it, once we figure out all the rest of it.
All right.
And then a question for James. We talked about this, I think, at our admin meeting, but how this is being paid for?
Yeah, provided update for the cash flow for water CIP. We do have funds available, and this is a small amount of that. There was some discussion at the admin committee about, could there be cost sharing for this, or is this because there is some risk here that the plans are engineered and for whatever reason it doesn't go through. Ideally, and we would have an SAD buttoned up, and all the costs we know are covered through the SAD or the purchase of the REUs. This is taking a step further in order to keep it moving. That does potentially risk that those monies are borne by the water system, and then there isn't the connection, there isn't the SAD, there isn't the REU sold because of the economy or what have you. So the admin committee did discuss, if the reason we're doing this is for other altruistic economic development reasons, is that a risk that should be or could be borne by the water system? The answer is yes, or you could have the general fund front that or split it, or you have other options. We're recommending the water system. Yeah.
That could happen down the road as well.
To reimburse?
Yes.
Yeah, you could reimburse.
I mean, if
Yeah,
okay.
if you felt that the risk was a general township partial risk, more than just the water system, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have two more. First, on the proposed budget, they specifically separated out a task for Bullard Road. Why was that not covered in the topographic survey for the entire project? What's special about Bullard?
I should have called that out. In our discussion with Heartland Glen, that's theirs, and they're going to pay for it. They're looking to do their sewer connection along Bullard Road to the north side of 59, and they want to get that engineered, and they need topographical survey. And our discussion was like, we're going to be out there anyway, and we'll get a number from HRC. He just confirmed today that he's good, he's going to pay for it, he's going to pay up front for it, so
Okay.
we're helping him out.
And then following up on the question that Bill had, First of all, I'm for this. I'm just trying to clarify the process in my mind. Because the statement was made that the goal would be to recover the costs associated with the design services. In part, well, it would be included as part of the discussions with the developers that we're hoping will come and are showing interest. So this is kind of a philosophical question. If it's the township's obligation, and I don't even know if that's the right choice of words, but if it's our obligation to provide a utility service, in what manner can we expect the developers to pay for that when they're already paying a connection fee? It seems like, in my mind, that would be included as part of the REU fees and tap fees and other things like that. So just want to understand what our philosophy is in this regard, please. Either one of you.
You could have, in communities where the infrastructure is already built out and it's there and you're just tapping into it, you don't have these costs of extension. But when you have an extension cost, it's very, not only common, but it's really the only right way to do it is that the cost of extending the pipe, so to speak, is borne by the developer, as well as the REU tap connection fees to buy into the rest of the system that they're extending from. So that's certainly always been our practice is you want that pipe there, you build that pipe at your cost, plus you pay the REUs. As you know, the size of this and scope of it is such that it lends itself to being able to lean into those numbers and figure out a way to balance those and share those costs in a way that isn't dollar for dollar, but that we would recover through the REU costs and still keep the system whole and fair and equitable, that they would pay through the REUs plus a little bit extra. So we have, right now, Bella Vita is putting in water main extension at their expense, and it's no small expense, 6 figures, I think. Plus, they bought REUs. In this case, we're talking, what we've talked about at this point, and as this board has talked about, is that all the REUs that they need, they would buy, plus they would cost share $300,000 in the extension cost as well.
But we don't have anything in writing from these developers.
We don't have an SAD contract. That's where there's that risk, is that if it were a perfect world, we would have had that all buttoned up, and this was a part of the project that's all buttoned up. It's not buttoned up, and part of what I'm saying is that I can't say that we own some of that because it's complicated and we're trying to do the best thing for the township. I would hate to delay the project for them because we're part of the complication, if that makes sense.
So you're basically asking the board to take a step of faith and trust that normal practices and procedures will unfold to reimburse the water fund for the cost of the engineering. Is that kind of summary what I'm hearing?
Well, I mean, there is a bit of, I don't know that it's a trust 100, I'm not giving you a 100% guarantee. I'm acknowledging there's a risk. I think that, and even in the face of that risk, we would say the eventual connection to that end is inevitable someday. And so this engineering won't be all for naught. It will be useful at some point. And so that helps mitigate the risk. And at the board's choosing, if the board chooses that, should that risk come to be, if the board says, well, that was partially a general fund risk, then it should reimburse the water. That's your privilege. That'll be up to you.
I just have one more question, and this is hypothetical because I know you can't give me a real answer, but based on the most recent discussions with the 3 developers who are interested in water going east of 59 and 23 area, what would you project is their schedule for needing the water? You think it's 2 years out, or we'd have to be putting pipes in the ground, or could it be longer?
No, they're going to want water as early as next summer. That's why we're suggesting to not be a cause of delay in that timeline. actually the smallest of the developments, which is the one that could build easily and quickly, is the one that's coming, got an application pending that could move through the process fairly quickly. And they're very motivated, and they're at a point too of wanting to have some security in that there is going to be water, because their development for senior living depends on municipal water model, not on well water. So they're actually probably the ones that are going to be moving faster than Heartland Glen or Mayberry.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Being none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the budget amendment and HRC proposal for the east water main extension not to exceed $175,000.
Support.
Motion by Clerk Schofield, second by Trustee Harper. Any other discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll go to board reports. We'll start with Trustee Germain,
I have nothing this evening.
Trustee Harper,
No report.
Trustee Petrucci,
No report.
Clerk Schofield,
No report.
and I have no report. And we'll take a brief recess, and we'll talk about our pathways plan and our manager's report.
Yeah, we just stay here.
Make a motion, we just stay here. These chairs are more comfortable.
Support. All in favor?